What are the Steelers? I'm not even asking for a friend. I'm asking for me. I like the game is still happening. There's 2:52 left. And somehow I feel comfortable enough to start recording. Usually that only happens when we're getting blown out when there's a blowout actively happening. This isn't really a blowout. It's 14 points. But like my energy right now, Connor, why are you so low effort? Not even low effort. Why are you so low energy? Usually you're standing up talking. This is what it's like watching the Steelers play football. Because, I mean, yeah, I have complaints. But if everything holds, Pittsburgh's going to leave this game 4-1. But like, we do not feel like a 4-1 football team. It's kind of reminiscent of when Pittsburgh went 11-0, and it was like we're not 11-0. But at least then we were putting up like 35 points. There was some fun in the like offense and the defense. Like, I mean, yeah, we so far at least have 6 sacks. But like, this has been a very boring game. The only thing I can genuinely like remember standing out to me was in the 2-minute warning when Cleveland was driving. The Pittsburgh's defense, well, also Carolina just upset the Cowboys, which is insane. Pittsburgh's defense was driving me a little nuts because we were playing such soft zone, which is something we've consistently done, which is like essentially anytime in the 2-minute warning in Pittsburgh, whether it's on the first half or the second half, Pittsburgh's defense always plays the softest zones, which is why, especially at the end of games, why when Pittsburgh's on defense, it's almost always happening at the end zone, kind of like it's happening right now against this Cleveland game, because we play so soft that it just allows teams to march down on us. So that was kind of driving me nuts. But like offensive wise, I think right now Rodgers has 31 completions, or 31 attempts and 20 completions. And I love how I was just talking about no like electric plays, and there might have been a fumble that just happened. We don't know. No, incomplete. But like yeah, 31 pass attempts and 20 completions and 2 touchdowns. Also, crazy stat I saw: Rodgers going into this game had 8 touchdowns, which is the second most by a Steelers quarterback since 2022. 8. That's insane. But like the offense, I still have my complaints about it. Like we need to be giving Jaylen Warren the ball more. That dude is literally the most underrated running back in the league because we don't utilize him properly. It really does remind me of the Austin Eckler, Melvin Gordon situation from like 5 or 6 years ago, where like Melvin Gordon was the guy because the Chargers drafted him, and then Austin Eckler was the undrafted kind of unproven piece, but it showed that he had more juice, which is kind of what I was talking about with Najee and Jalen. And now Jalen, like look at this, 11 carries, 52 yards. Only 11 carries. He's basically averaging 5 yards a carry, which is something that we didn't dream about with Naj. He has 11 carries for 52 yards. So I don't get why. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell has 6 carries, but 6 receptions for Kenneth Gainwell is insane. It's been nice to see Caleb Johnson a little bit. He has a little bit of juice. But I do think we need to really like establish this game through like just the rest of the season. Our offensive identity should be Jaylen Warren. Because I mean, it's not like we have any other wide receiver options. A lot of people, I was live today during the first half of the game. A lot of people were like, "Do you think Pittsburgh should trade for AJ Brown?" No, because what are we gonna do with that? We don't even use our wide receiver one. I know DK has had a good day today with the touchdown. What's his? He's 9 targets. It does not feel like he's had 9 targets, but 4 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. But then you look at the next receiving options. Roman Wilson is our only other receiver with a catch right now. Shout out Roman for actually existing. And then you've got Darnell Washington. Connor Hayward. It's crazy to me that he got a touchdown today. And Jonnu Smith. And also, like, Pat Freiermuth had 1 target, and I'm pretty sure. I'm going to talk about Pat a little bit later. But, like, what's the point of trading for a wide receiver? Because, I mean, I can't sit here and say it's not working because the Browns have a really good defense. The Browns do. They have a very good defense. But this was like, I don't know how to gauge this because Pittsburgh's, as of right now, Pittsburgh's defense is doing an okay job holding them to under 10 points, but I don't know how to gauge this team because this is the same team that, like, looked like they could have routed the Vikings last week or 2 weeks ago, but they gave up because it's almost like Mike Tomlin is scared to, like, the one thing I really like about the Lions, I can't remember who was talking about it this week. It was like Rich Eisen or Andy Holloway or Mike Wright or Jason Moore. I don't remember who said this, but they were talking about how the Lions, they were comparing the Lions to the Ravens and how the Lions will always just tack it on. They don't care versus like the Ravens, they'll like tack it on. And once they feel like they have enough of a lead, they'll like get a little more conservative with it. Meanwhile, the Lions are like, no, we're going to put up 70 on you. I feel like that's very similar to, I mean, not that Pittsburgh is ever going to really consistently be in a situation where we're always up, But in the rare situations where we are, like last week, or even kind of like right now, being up 23-9, that's the point where, yeah, I understand playing it safe, but playing it safe, all it's going to do is 3 and out because you're just going to run the ball 3 times. So I need Pittsburgh to become a little more aggressive, especially there's no more of the excuse of you can't trust the quarterback. You could have had that excuse last year with Justin Fields, I guess. You could have had it last year, I guess, with Russell Wilson, even though you shouldn't have because he's a proven quarterback. That's what Mike Tomlin said when he brought in Russell. You had a fair argument with that with Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph or Duck Hodges. But with a 4-time MVP winner and a Super Bowl winner and one of the best like quarterback talents to ever play and a top 10 talent of all time for the position, you don't have the excuse of like, oh, we can't trust him. So you need to be more aggressive. I don't want to see Pittsburgh taking their foot off the gas, especially when we have to play like actual contending teams. I still don't see Pittsburgh. The reason I can't gauge them is because I don't see Pittsburgh competing with a Buffalo. I don't see Pittsburgh competing. I mean, Pittsburgh has a really good litmus test the next couple of weeks because Cincinnati next week will be a division game in Cincinnati. That, no matter what happens, it's going to be a hard one to decide what Pittsburgh is because division games are always whatever. Then you have the Packers, which are a legitimate team. Then you have the Chargers. I don't know if those games are back to back. Let me look at the schedule real quick. I'm pretty sure that there is a game in between those two. Bengals, Packers. No, Packers and Chargers. Oh, Colts. Kind of another good litmus test because the Colts are 4-1 as of right now, at least. That game's still going on with Arizona. But that's a good litmus test because you're playing 3 really good teams. And then who do we play after? I want to say it's the Bears the week after. No, we play the Bengals and then the Bears. So and then the Bills. So out of those 6 games, 4 of them are actual tests for what Pittsburgh is going to be. But right now, I don't know. I don't see us beating Green Bay in a couple of weeks. But that game is at home and anything can happen. I don't see Pittsburgh beating the Bills in that game. I don't if the Ravens were healthy, I can't see Pittsburgh beating the Ravens as a healthy team. I honestly would struggle to see them beating the Ravens how they are right now. Mainly just because how that matchup always goes. So I genuinely don't know what Pittsburgh is. It's been the most I forgot. It's usually no matter the game, I feel like heart palpitations even when we're up, But this game has just been meh, and it feels like it's kind of like almost another bye week or like I'm watching a rerun. So I'm gonna talk about other stuff, kind of correlated to this week. But I said I was gonna mention Pat Freiermuth a little bit later. I think it's time Pittsburgh trade Pat Freiermuth, not because Pat Freiermuth is letting Pittsburgh down. It's a complete opposite. It's because Pittsburgh is letting Pat Freiermuth down. We extended him 2 years ago, and then we decided to bring in 2 tight ends. I mean, we drafted Darnell Washington, but then we brought in Jonnu, and now we are legitimately not using Pat Freiermuth. And I feel bad because he's being absolutely wasted. His talent coming into the league in his rookie year with Ben show that he is a talented tight end. And we're not utilizing him. And so I think there are teams that would be willing to pay up for him. And if we're going to pay him a contract, this isn't a knock against Pat. This is me wanting him to succeed, and it's just not going to happen in Pittsburgh's system. We're throwing the ball to Connor Hayward before we're throwing the ball to Pat Freiermuth. What's the point? Now, I'm not sure how much you can get with just Pat Freiermuth alone, and I would like Pittsburgh to preserve their picks for next season in the case that we draft a quarterback so we can trade up, because right now it's looking like we're going to be drafting 20th or later if this holds. So I want us to hold on to our draft picks, but that's where my next tangent comes in, which is I think Pittsburgh should also trade Alex Highsmith. And again, it's not a knock against Alex Highsmith. It's not that Alex Highsmith's letting us down. I really like Alex Highsmith. But the way Nate Herbig, Nate's his brother that was an offensive lineman for us 2 years ago. The way that Nick Herbig has been coming alive, he's been a perfect fill-in. And the thing is, Pittsburgh has depth. I mean, we drafted Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State this year, so we have the depth. And Jack, he's literally on the field right now as I'm talking about this, so he's getting reps. It's not like he's just only a depth piece. And then, using that with also the rotation that we're using at middle linebackers with Cole Holcomb and Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen. Oof. And the amount of dime that we run as well. So we have Deshaun Elliott in there, and Juan Thornhill. Not Juan Thornhill. Julius Peppers. Jabril Peppers, Jesus. There's so much depth on this team that you can trade it, and the thing is, you're getting off of Highsmith's contract, and Highsmith also he has a history of getting injured, and as of right now, Nick Herbig doesn't, and Nick Herbig has been really good, and it's not at the benefit or because everyone's focusing on TJ or whatever. this entire defensive front has stepped up over the last couple of weeks. If I have to give anybody props, it has to be them because I was criticizing them from the run game. Oh, I just realized that they turned the ball over. So yeah, the game is 100% over. I was criticizing the defensive front because they weren't able to stop the run game. Quinshon Judkins was electric coming into this game, and he did nothing. Last week, the first half, or 2 weeks ago, the first half, the Vikings were able to run the ball, and then they absolutely were shut down. So yeah, Pittsburgh's now 4-1 officially, and I don't know. They should be 5-1 after Cincinnati, and then even if they drop Packers, which I think it is the most Pittsburgh thing ever to beat the Packers and then be 6-1 and then lose to the Colts, the Chargers, and just run these games off. So that's another thing why I'm tempering my expectations, because I've seen this. I've done this song and dance before. Pittsburgh starts super well, and then Pittsburgh starting 4-1. There's no real reason Pittsburgh should be finishing the season with less than 11 wins. 11 wins should be the what we hit right now. I got Mason Rudolph stealing the ball. 11 wins should be what Pittsburgh hits now, but I know this team that probably won't happen. Pittsburgh, and that's the thing is, when I was live, people were asking me "Oh, is Pittsburgh going to run away with the division?" I don't think they. I mean, they should, but knowing how they like to implode, but the cards have all stacked up perfectly for Pittsburgh. Joe Burrow got hurt, and the Bengals are absolutely just falling off a cliff. The Browns don't have an offensive identity, but they have a really good defense. But that offensive identity is killing them. And the Ravens losing Lamar Jackson for 3 weeks, counting the bye, so 2 games but 3 weeks, is going to hurt them to the point where they only have 1 win. So Pittsburgh will probably win the division, but I don't see us winning a playoff game. As of right now, the playoff teams, I mean, the Colts, I still don't. The Steelers and the Colts are very similar in my mind, except at least the Colts can score points, and they have an offensive identity. Pittsburgh doesn't have an identity. So that's where I really struggle with Pittsburgh. Going back to talking about the trade with Highsmith and Pat, I think if you bundle those together, but the thing is, what does Pittsburgh need? I think we need a wide receiver too, but we don't use a wide receiver too. We could use maybe another cornerback, but ever since Joey's year 3 has been a very pleasant surprise, because his year 2 was a very unpleasant surprise after how his rookie year was. And so, yeah, we could use a corner. Maybe we could use a strong safety, but right now, or a free safety, since we traded Minka last year. But right now, it's seeming to work with Juan Thornhill and Jabril Peppers rotating in and out, as well as having Deshaun Elliott back. So it's what are you going to trade them for? And I mean, maybe it's just picks. Maybe you're not trading 4 players; you're just trading 4 picks, and you're revving up for getting a franchise quarterback. I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers is back next season. I think right now I'd probably put it at 60-40 that he comes back, because they're not asking him to do too much. And I don't think Pittsburgh's going to contend for Super Bowl this year. And the only way I see Aaron Rodgers retiring 100%, I will call his retirement, is if Pittsburgh wins a Super Bowl. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I just genuinely, I don't have any, this has basically been, I feel 15 minutes of me just talking nonsense. I mean, yeah, I talked about the trade, but I this is one of those videos where I'm very curious what you guys are going to say in the comments, because I have no idea what Pittsburgh is. Whether you're a Pittsburgh fan, a Cleveland fan, or just anybody else, just an NFL fan who watched this game or followed it, I don't know what Pittsburgh is, man. And this has been one of my most least animated one of these videos, because normally I'm coming off of what the hell was that, or something. It was kind of hard to keep paying attention to this game, if I'm being completely honest, because there was nothing going on. It was the most boring game. This game looked like it was written by ChatGPT. How boring this was. I don't know what it is, but Pittsburgh got the win. I mean, pushed through for, what was it, 235? I want to say. Let me look. Yeah, 235 and 2. And I mean, we ran the ball for, I think it was over 100 yards combined through all of our players. And then our defense 6 sacks. So I don't know what Pittsburgh is. I mean, we held Quinshon Judkins to 3 yards a carry. 36 yards on 12 carries is insane. So I don't know. Oh wow, I do know that my fantasy team, when your quarterback scores 4.9 points, you just know your week is over. This is crazy. And I had Drake May on my bench who put up 40. 40. Looking at the landscape right now of the NFL, I think this is another thing I can delve into before I end this video. If we're looking at the NFL right now, I'm looking at these teams, man. Like Titans, Raiders. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh would beat them if the scenario counted. Pittsburgh loves a good trap game, but like Pittsburgh's a better team than them. Bengals, Pittsburgh's a better team. Packers, not a better team. Pittsburgh is not a better team. I think Pittsburgh is a better team than the 49ers, but I don't think that we're coached better. So that game, if we play each other, I don't know. If we play the Buccaneers, I think the Buccaneers are a better team. The Lions, better team. I still trust the Chiefs more than the Steelers. The Bills, 100%. The Falcons, I don't know what to expect from them. The Bears, I don't know either. I would probably trust the Commanders slightly more just because they're a little more modernized on the offensive side and they're getting healthier. I think they've been struggling just because of the injuries. I would still trust the Eagles more. The Giants, I don't know. I mean, like the Giants' defense is really good, and they have personality and identity. So like that's another. It's like how am I questioning the 2-4 Giants against the 4-1 Steelers? I would take the Rams instead of them. The Ravens at this point with Lamar, I'd still probably take Lamar. Like the Lamar-led Ravens, but with the backups, I'd take Pittsburgh. But looking at the AFC teams, like I don't know what the Colts are. The Jaguars might be real. I don't know. I know they lost today. I still might take the Chargers instead. I know we beat the Patriots, but that one's kind of up in the air as well. So like I don't know where I would stack out Pittsburgh in the AFC right now. What's most likely going to happen is Pittsburgh's going to win 11 games or 10 games and then get knocked down the first round of the playoffs, and that's just how it goes. Because that's the thing. Pittsburgh's never good enough to get a high seed. Pittsburgh's not going to get the 1 seed. 100% not going to happen. Pittsburgh will most likely not get the 2 seed. So Pittsburgh will probably, if they win the division, end up with the 3 seed. So you're then playing a wild card team. And like, again, that's a game you should win. And Pittsburgh, to be fair to Pittsburgh, anytime make the playoffs, get knocked out in the first round, it's usually because they are the visiting team. But like the Cleveland game from a couple years ago where Pittsburgh was the home team and they got their shit rocked by Cleveland, like there is that reality as well. So I don't know. I can't properly gauge what Pittsburgh is until they play a high-end competitor. Because if you think about the games we played the Jets, who are the worst team in football right now, 100%. And we almost lost that game. The Steelers tricked the entire NFL world into thinking that the Jets might be legit this year because of what the Jets did in week 1. So we've played the Jets, and then in these all mesh together. So we played the Jets, we played the Seahawks, who are a legit team, and we lost to them, which I think is totally fair. Pittsburgh did not deserve to lose that to win that game, and I think Pittsburgh. Wow, seeing Joe Burrow in number 16 is weird in a Bengals jersey. But Pittsburgh did not deserve to win the game, and I think that Seattle's a better team than Pittsburgh. We beat the Patriots. I think Pittsburgh and the Patriots are very much on par with each other. We beat the Vikings because of Steelers' black magic. I think I would probably take the Vikings in a rematch on that one, honestly. Because Pittsburgh almost blew that. It was 21-24 by the end. And then we had a bye, and then we just beat the Browns. So like we haven't played any like serious contending teams. So if Pittsburgh comes out and beats or stays like on par with a Bills team, or when we play the Packers in a couple weeks, if we play the Packers in a couple weeks and we're able to stay up with them or beat them, like I can't call Pittsburgh a serious team for a playoff push until I see them actually like put belt to ass against a team, a real team like a Packers, a Chargers. Even though the Chargers have been struggling a lot lately because of the offensive line, that's gonna be a very interesting test for Pittsburgh because that's a game that Pittsburgh should win because of the losses the Chargers have had. I think the Chargers could still be a better overall team, but because of the losses on the offensive line, Pittsburgh should be able to just take advantage of that team. And then, playing a Bills team, if Pittsburgh can stay, even if Pittsburgh loses that game, but it's like 31-20 or something like that, then I might be a little more confident. But right now, I've spent the last 20 minutes talking about I don't know what the Steelers are. So I'm curious what you guys think they are. Trade ideas as well, what Pittsburgh should maybe try to acquire. If you guys like the idea of trading Highsmith or Pat, again, it's nothing against them. I want them to succeed, but I think that they would succeed elsewhere. Like, I think it'd be really interesting to send them to, like, New Orleans for Chris Olave. But I don't see why Pittsburgh would do that because we're not even using – I mean, DK, he got 9 targets, but then he's the only wide receiver we're using because we use tight ends so much. So what are you going to do, trade for a tight end? It's not going to happen. Well, even though I'm sure that's Arthur Smith's wet dream right there, apparently. And then on the defensive side, you're not going to trade for an edge. You're not going to trade for a linebacker, maybe a corner or a safety, but I really doubt it. So what are you going to do? Trade, like, that's why it's like maybe just trade them for picks so you can lock in a quarterback in the next draft class or the draft class after that. So I don't know. I don't want to just talk at this point. I'm curious your guys' thoughts. Also, if you guys saw the short I put on Instagram or the reel and TikTok that I uploaded, I got like these little dolls sent to me that are like made me into dolls. There's a creator on Etsy who makes like NFL dolls. She made an Injury Demon and a Connor one, so you guys can check those out. And actually, she is selling Injury Demon ones. All profits go to her. Like, I'm just shouting her out because that was really kind of her, and she didn't have to do that. So you guys can check that out. I'll put a link below. But yeah, I don't know what the Steelers are. Can you guys tell me? Okay, bye.